All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're not just learning a new skill, we're talking about a full-on mental upgrade, like installing a brand new operating system for your brain. We're going to dig into the frameworks that the world's most successful thinkers use, so you can stop just playing the game and start designing it yourself.
Okay, so let's unpack this because this one sentence, it's really the key to everything we're talking about today. It gets right to the heart of the difference between, just making slow, steady progress versus making these massive exponential leaps. Thinking in a straight line, yeah, that'll get you a paycheck. But thinking in systems, that's how you build an empire.
Look, most of us, and I mean almost all of us, we start out with that linear mindset. It's kind of the default setting we're all born with, right? You trade an hour of your time for an hour of pay. You're just playing by the rules that someone else made. But systems thinking, that's a total paradigm shift. It's about stepping back and becoming the architect. You start building assets, things like a business, an app, or even media that just work for you, generating value on their own. You stop being just a pawn on the chessboard, and you start becoming the person who designs the entire game.
All right, so to make this shift, we're going to install 3 core principles into our new mental OS. You can think of these as like the foundational code. And we're going to kick things off with the concept that, honestly, Elon Musk has absolutely mastered.
So, what is first principles thinking? Well, instead of just looking at what everyone else is doing, what your competitors are up to or what's been done for the last 50 years, that's basically just copying, this forces you to ask a much more powerful question. What is fundamentally true here? You strip away all the assumptions, ignore tradition, and build your solution up from the absolute rock-bottom basics.
And this is the exact process Musk used to create SpaceX. I mean, the conventional wisdom was just, rockets are expensive. That's just how it is. But Musk didn't accept that. He used first principles. He asked, okay, but what is a rocket actually made of? And the answer was, some aerospace-grade aluminum, titanium, copper, and fuel. When he actually priced out all those raw materials, he found they were only about 2% of the final price tag. The other 98%, that was just decades of industry baggage and inefficiency. So he started from scratch, rebuilt the whole idea from the ground up, and completely revolutionized the space industry.
Okay, let's move on to our second principle. This one is a favorite of the investor and philosopher Naval Ravikant, and it's all about leverage. I want you to think of leverage as the tool that finally breaks that link between your time and your money. It's how you make your work, work for you, even when you're not. And this is so crucial. It shows that real success isn't about working harder, it's about building machines that work for you 24/7. So what are these machines? Well, first, there's code. You write it once, and it can literally serve millions of people while you sleep. Then there's media, like this explainer right here. It's made one time, but it can be watched by thousands or millions of people all over the world at any time. And of course, there's capital. Good old-fashioned money that you put to work to make more money. These are the modern tools that give you near infinite leverage. And that brings us to our third and final core principle. This one is all about how people like Jeff Bezos think about risk. See, they don't bet the whole farm on one single crazy idea. No way. Instead, they're constantly looking for what they call asymmetric bets. Think of it like looking for a tiny, low-risk door that, if you open it, might lead to a gigantic, life-changing room. The idea is simple. If you're wrong, you lose a little. But if you're right, you can win and win big. Just look at this example with Amazon Web Services, or AWS. The scale of the asymmetry here is just mind-blowing. AWS started as a tiny little internal project just to solve some of Amazon's own tech problems. So what was the downside? The risk. A few wasted engineering hours if it flopped. That's it. But the upside? It turned into a $90 billion a year business, one of the most profitable parts of the entire company. That is the absolute textbook definition of an asymmetric bet. Okay, so our new OS is installed. But an operating system is kind of useless without some apps, right? So now we need some daily mental tools, let's call them apps, that you can run to really strengthen this new way of thinking and turn it into a reflex. Our first app starts with a question you should be asking yourself constantly.
How can I make every win automatically strengthen the next win? This gets you thinking about our first tool, the compounding flywheel. See, this isn't about just getting a single win here or there. It's about designing a system that builds its own momentum, where every part of the process just naturally makes every other part stronger.
And the most famous example of this has to be the Amazon flywheel. Amazon didn't just wake up one day and decide, hey, let's have low prices. No, they built a beautiful, self-reinforcing loop. Look at how it works. Lower prices bring in more customers. More customers attract more third-party sellers to the platform. More sellers means way more selection and competition, which, you guessed it, drives prices even lower. And the wheel just spins faster and faster and faster all by itself, creating this absolutely unstoppable growth.
Okay, our next tool is a really powerful mental trick. It's called the time billionaire lens. And it all boils down to one simple question. This question acts as what they call a forcing function. It basically forces you to be ruthless about protecting your single most valuable asset. The one thing you can never, ever get back? Your time. So I want you to seriously ask yourself, if your time was worth $10,000 an hour, would you be the one doing that 2-hour-long weekly report? Would you be sitting through that pointless meeting? No way. Of course not. Thinking with this number as your baseline forces you to do one of 3 things with any task that isn't worth it. Delegate it, automate it, or just eliminate it completely. All right, our final tool is one of my favorites because it's so beautifully counterintuitive. It's called inversion thinking, and it works like this. Instead of sitting around brainstorming all the ways your project could succeed, you do the exact opposite. You start by imagining total catastrophic failure, and you map out precisely what you would need to do to guarantee that disaster.
It's an idea that Charlie Munger talks about all the time. He says, look, avoiding stupidity is way easier than trying to be a genius. And that's the whole point here. By listing out all the ingredients for total disaster, running out of money, building something nobody wants, having no way to reach customers, you can then just systematically build a plan to avoid every single one of those pitfalls. It's like a secret backdoor to success, and it dramatically increases your odds of winning. But listen, all of these mental models are completely useless if you don't actually use them. They'll just be interesting ideas that fade away. So to really lock in this mental upgrade, you need rituals. We're going to go over 2 really simple but incredibly powerful ones to make all of this stick. So here's your morning ritual. Before you do anything else, just ask yourself this one question. This single question will instantly snap your brain out of short-term what's on my to-do list mode and into long-term leverage mode. It forces you to think in systems from the very first minute of your day. And then at the end of the day, you run a quick diagnostic. Think of it as a 3-question review to check if you are actually running your new OS or if you kind of slipped back into the old default settings. First question, number 1. Did I think in systems today? Did I actually see the flywheels, the connections between things? Or was I just stuck in the weeds, focused on isolated tasks? Number 2, did I chase leverage or was I just busy? In other words, did my actions today multiply my effort? Was I building an asset or was I just trading hours for check marks on a to-do list? And number 3, did I pursue any asymmetric upside? Did I take that small shot, send that one ambitious email, test out that tiny side project, anything at all that had a really small downside but a potentially huge reward? And that's it. That's how you start to really design your future. This whole framework, the core principles, the daily apps, the rituals, it's not about grinding harder. It's about thinking differently. It's about making a conscious choice every single day to run a new mental program, one that lets you be the architect. So really, you have a choice. You can keep thinking in those straight lines, keep playing the game that somebody else designed. Or you can start thinking in systems. You can start building your own flywheels and making your own smart asymmetric bets. The operating system is now yours to use. The only question left is, what are you going to build with it?